Our story begins not with the human, but with the stage, the desert. Its behavior is not random chaos, but a predictable, if brutal, symphony of physics and geology. It operates on a simple, unforgiving principle: the management of energy and the absence of water.
Adversity 1. The Solar Tyranny. The sun is the undisputed ruler of the day. Its assault is twofold. First, the direct radiant heat, which can raise air temperatures to 50 degrees Celsius or 122 degrees Fahrenheit, and ground temperatures far beyond. This heat is not merely an environmental condition, it is an active drain. The human body, a water-cooled engine, must expend its most precious resource, sweat, to maintain a core temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. But the desert air, with humidity often below 10%, is insatiably thirsty. Sweat evaporates the instant it forms, providing cooling, but offering no visual cue of the catastrophic water loss occurring within. This is stealth dehydration. Second is the reflected energy. The light, sand, and rock act as a mirror, bouncing radiation back onto the body from below and the sides. There is no escape, no true shade, only varying degrees of thermal assault.
Adversity 2. The nocturnal betrayal. As the sun vanishes, the lesson reverses. The very sand that stored heat so efficiently now becomes a radiator. With no cloud cover to trap the warmth, thermal energy escapes unimpeded back into the atmosphere. The temperature plummets, sometimes by 30, 40 degrees Celsius, 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The desert does not freeze you by day to burn you by night. It simply removes all moderating influences. The cold is a physiological shock, forcing a body already struggling with dehydration and hunger to now burn precious caloric reserves to stave off hypothermia. Adversity 3. The architect of sand and wind. The desert landscape is not static. The wind is its sculpture. It carries fine particles of silica, a natural abrasive that can strip paint from metal, sandblast glass, and excoriate human skin. It infiltrates everything: eyes, ears, nose, mouth, the seams of clothing. This constant, low-grade irritation is a relentless psychological drain. Worse are the storms. A sandstorm, or haboob, is a wall of chaos. It can reduce visibility to zero in minutes, disorienting completely and rendering navigation impossible. It does not just blow over, it reshapes the world. Dunes migrate, trails vanish, landmarks are buried. The desert teaches impermanence. A shelter painstakingly built one day may be half buried the next. A water source dug in a dry riverbed may be filled in by the morning. The ground itself is unreliable.
Adversity 4. The illusion of emptiness. The desert appears barren, a visual cue that screams, "Nothing can live here." This is a dangerous misreading. The desert teems with life, but life that has evolved to be cryptic, efficient, and often nocturnal. This life is a potential resource, but also a signpost. To the untrained eye, it is invisible. To the survivor who learns to see, it is a map of water, food, and shelter. The desert is a locked treasury. The keys are observation and knowledge.
The human condition, a symphony of adversity. Into this realm of extreme logic steps a creature of profound vulnerability, a human, ill-suited for the heat, cold, and aridity, equipped with a mind that craves stimulus and predictability. Alex's survival will depend on his ability to shed his civilized expectations and engage with the desert on its own terms. His journey is a symphony of escalating adversities, each movement testing a different part of his being. The primary, the immediate, the all-consuming adversary is thirst. Within hours, it ceases to be a sensation and becomes a spate of being. The body is approximately 60% water. Lose 2% of that, and physical performance degrades. lose 5% and headaches and nausea set in. At 10%, cognitive function plummets. Beyond 15%, it is fatal. Alex's mind, under the strain of dehydration, will begin to betray him. He will see mirages. These are not hallucinations, but real optical phenomena, fata morgana, where light bends through layers of air of different temperatures, creating shimmering images of lakes or distant mountains that retreat as he approaches. His brain, desperate for the promise of water, interprets these refractions as reality. To chase them is to expend the last of one's energy on a phantom.
The discipline of water. Alex's first lesson is in rationing. The instinct is to drink deeply to quench the raging thirst. This is a fatal error. Large amounts of water consumed at once can overwhelm the kidneys and lead to faster loss through urination. The correct method is small, deliberate sips, held in the mouth to moisten the tissues before swallowing. He must drink not in response to thirst, but on a schedule, treating each drop as a non-renewable medication. The alchemy of water. Finding water is the survivor's primary occupation. It requires turning the desert's own mechanisms against it.
The solar still, Alex uses a piece of plastic sheeting from his emergency kit. He digs a hole about 1 meter wide and half a meter deep in a sunny spot, placing an empty container in the center. He places the plastic over the hole, sealing the edges with sand and rocks, and places a small stone in the center of the plastic directly over the container. The sun's heat evaporates moisture from the soil. This water vapor condenses on the cooler underside of the plastic and trickles down to the lowest point, the stone weight, dripping into the container. It is slow, yielding perhaps a cupful in a day, but it is pure and life-sustaining. The transpiration bag. Alex finds a non-toxic leafy shrub. He ties a clear plastic bag tightly around a branch, sealing it. The plant, through its natural process of transpiration, releases water vapor, which condenses on the inside of the bag and collects at the bottom. It is another lesson in patience. Digging in the dry. He seeks out the lowest points of the landscape, the outside bends of dry riverbeds, wadis, the bases of cliffs. Here he digs. Often, just a foot or two down, the sand will feel cooler and damp. He can let this muddy water seep into the hole, then carefully soak it up with a cloth and wring it into his mouth. Hunger is a slower, more insidious adversary. The human body can survive for weeks without food, but the lack of calories brings its own cascade of failures. Weakness sets in, followed by mental fog, apathy, and a compromised immune system. The body begins to catabolize its own muscle tissue for energy, further reducing strength. In the cold nights, the lack of insulating fat and the energy to shiver makes hypothermia an imminent threat. The forager's gamble. The desert offers a sparse and dangerous menu. The rule is absolute: certainty over curiosity. A single mistake can be fatal.
Flora. Alex identifies a barrel cactus. With his knife, he carefully lops off the top and, avoiding the fierce spines, scrapes out the moist, pulpy interior. It is fibrous and bitter, but it provides crucial moisture and some calories. Other plants may be toxic, their poisons concentrated by the arid environment as a defense mechanism. Fauna. Life is small and hidden. He turns over rocks to find scorpions and beetles. He learns to pin a scorpion safely, despise it, and roast it on a hot rock to neutralize the venom. He collects fat, grub-like larvae from under decaying vegetation. These are not meals, they are fuel packets. He eats with a detached, clinical focus, suppressing the revulsion of his civilized palate. Protein is protein.
The architecture of sanity. To survive, Alex must build mental structures as diligently as he builds physical shelters. Routine. He imposes a strict, self-enforced schedule. Dawn. Check solar stills, sip water, light exercise to combat stiffness. Morning. Travel or improve shelter. Midday. mandatory rest in the shade. Afternoon, forage, prepare tools. Dusk, navigate, travel if possible. Night, tend fire, plan for the next day. This structure creates purpose where there is none. Goal setting. His objectives are small, tangible, and achievable. Today, I will find 3 edible grubs. Today, I will improve the windbreak on my shelter. Each small success is a brick in the wall against despair. Communication. He talks to himself. He narrates his actions. I am now digging the hole for the still. The sand is cooler here. That is a good sign. This act of vocalization reinforces his identity, his consciousness, his connection to a world of language and reason. It is a bulwark against the descent into an animalistic state.
The desert is a perfect natural labyrinth. Its features are often repetitive and lacking in prominent, unique landmarks. The disorientation is physiological. Without a fixed point of reference, the human body has a natural tendency to walk in a wide, circling arc. This is not a failure of will, but a subtle imbalance in our vestibular system and muscle strength. Alex's greatest fear is not the creatures or the heat, but the terrifying realization that he is walking in circles, expending his life force on a path that leads nowhere. The art of wayfinding. He must become a navigator, using the original maps, the sky.
By day, the shadow stick method. He plants a straight stick vertically in the ground. He marks the tip of its shadow with a small stone. He waits 15 to 20 minutes and marks the new position of the shadow tip. A line drawn between these 2 points runs approximately east-west. This is his compass. By night, in the northern hemisphere, he would find Polaris, the North Star. Here, in the southern hemisphere, he finds the Southern Cross. By extending the long axis of the cross 5 times its length, he finds the southern celestial pole, his rough guide to south. Pacing and conservation. His travel is not a hike. It is a slow, deliberate, energy-conserving shuffle. He moves from one small landmark to the next, a peculiar rock, a specific dune, constantly checking his bearing. He knows that a sprained ankle, a fall, any injury that impedes movement is a terminal event. A simple misstep becomes a catastrophe. A small cut, ignored, can become infected with alarming speed in the gritty, bacteria-laden environment. Sunburn can escalate to second-degree burns, making the skin a liability rather than a protector. Dehydration leads to constipation and kidney stones. The body, weakened by privation, is a fertile ground for illness. There is no first aid kit comprehensive enough, no antibiotic on hand for every potential infection. Survival medicine here is preemptive and brutal. It is about cleanliness, about protecting the feet at all costs, about recognizing the first signs of heat stroke, confusion, dizziness, cessation of sweating, and taking immediate drastic action to cool the body. Alex's twisted ankle is a crisis. He must stop immediately, elevate it, and sacrifice precious water to reduce inflammation. A day of lost travel can mean the difference between life and death. The desert punishes even the smallest error with exponential severity.
This is the culmination of all other adversities. The body is broken, the mind is exhausted, the path is lost. This is the moment of surrender. It is not a dramatic event, but a quiet giving up. The will, that intangible force that has driven every action until now, flickers and dies. He may simply lie down in the shade and not get up again, his body system shutting down one by one, not from any single injury, but from a collective, accepted defeat. The antidote to despair, hope, in this context, is not an emotion, it is a discipline. It is the relentless focus on the next single achievable task.
It is the memory of a loved one's face held onto like a talisman. It is the stubborn, irrational refusal to let the indifferent vastness of the desert dictate the terms of his existence. Alex must reach deep into the core of his being and find a reason, any reason to take one more step, to dig one more hole, to wait one more hour. He must transform hope from a feeling into a verb.
And here, in the crucible of the sixth day, a transformation occurs. Alex is no longer fighting the desert, he has started to think like it. He has learned its rhythms. He moves with the sun, rests during its peak, navigates by the stars. He conserves energy with the efficiency of a desert fox. He reads the landscape not as a hostile force, but as a text full of information. The flight of a bird at dusk pointing towards a hidden water source. The type of plant indicating a specific soil moisture level. The adversities have not vanished, but his relationship to them has changed. Thirst is a problem to be solved with a solar still. Hunger is a scavenger's puzzle. Solitude is a space for planning. Navigation is a celestial game. The desert's indifference is no longer a threat, but a promise. If he acts correctly, the results are predictable. The sun will power his still. The stars will guide him.
Survival in the desert is not a tale of conquest. It is a story of integration. The lone human does not defeat the master. He learns the master's language. He discovers that the most vital resources were not in his pack, but in his mind. The capacity for reason, the resilience of the human spirit, and the profound, life-affirming power of a disciplined will. The desert, in its immense and silent wisdom, does not give life lightly. But for those who listen, who learn, and who adapt, it permits it. And in that permission lies the greatest victory of all.